Yeah, it definitely will.
All right.
All right, you have a banner?
Yeah, I'm gonna show this
Here to get a better.
I think that's great. Can you two maybe hold it initially, or once somebody can hold it?
I can,
You wanna hold it in the beginning?
I can hold
I
it.
was
Do you
just
want me to-
gonna.
Can one of you come up here and hold it?
Talking?
Yeah, that'd be great. No,
Because
keep
he's
it
got the-
open.
Okay.
And he's got the veterans
Maybe I can
piece,
put
it's a
it
good
on
one.
and just explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
where should I stand? Like, is this?
Get
good?
close, get close.
Get
Everybody get close, get close. So look, come on in, come on
I
in.
got it going.
Can you guys see yourself in that camera?
Can't see. Yes.
Yes, okay, good. As long as you can see yourself in the camera. Alright. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Faizan Syed, F as in Frank, A-I-Z-A-N, last name S-Y-E-D. I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American-Islamic Relations here in the great city of Dallas-Fort Worth in Texas. Today, we are here to give a voice to the Palestinian community. Today, we are here to give a voice to the Palestinian community that was denied by this administration, who have made so-called a deal of a century, which is actually a great steal of the century. Any peace plan that involves Israel and Palestine that actively works to exclude the Palestinians is not a peace plan. It is nothing more than an election strategy. Right now, we have an administration here where the president is currently in the process of being impeached and the trials are going on. He has made a deal with another prime minister of Israel who has just been charged for corruption charges. And yet these two individuals, they hope to create a peace plan that's going to solve this challenging problem of Palestine and Israel and exclude the Palestinian voices. We as a coalition are here today to say that is impossible, that is not going to happen, and this deal is dead on arrival before it's even moved forward and gone anywhere. Today we have a group of speakers that are going to come and share their thoughts and their words about what this deal means to them, and as Americans what we can do to stand against this type of deal from moving forward. Our first speaker will be Hadi Jawad, and he is the Executive Director for the Dallas Peace and Justice Center. Please help me in welcoming Hadi.
Thank you, Faizan. On behalf of the board and the members and committee chairs of the Dallas Peace and Justice Center, we join local groups and hundreds of organizations nationally and internationally to unequivocally denounce the so-called deal of the century proposed by President Donald Trump yesterday as a fraudulent betrayal to liquidate the legitimate cause of the Palestinian people for a homeland. Fraudulent that it gives the government of Israel everything it has ever wanted, and it gives Palestinian crumbs that they're expected to receive with gratitude. Betrayal that the Palestinians have been let down time and time again by the United States, which purports to be an honest broker. We urge the international community, particularly European powers such as France, Germany, and the UK, to reject this egregious attempt to destroy the hopes, dreams, aspirations of the noble Palestinian nation. The irony that both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing criminal charges in Israel, and President Donald Trump, who is undergoing an impeachment trial in Washington, D.C., are pulling a diversionary stunt that might lead to Israeli and Palestinian deaths, escalate tensions in the Middle East and in the occupied territories, and further destabilize the Middle East. This irony should not be lost on anyone.
Thank you so much for that. Our next speaker will be Haneen. She's with American Muslim for Palestine, the Dallas chapter. Haneen?
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, especially merciful. When the impeached president of the U.S. got together with apartheid Israel's indicted prime minister to put together a so-called deal of the century, what we got was a complete disaster and the theft of the century. The PLO has been rightly avoiding any diplomatic engagement with the Trump administration following a series of unprecedentedly anti-Palestinian steps taken in recent years by the United States, including recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moving the U.S. embassy there, shutting down the PLO embassy in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Consulate General in Jerusalem, which for more than 1 century had served as an independent conduit for diplomatic relations between the United States and the Palestinian people. Ending U.S. funding for UNRWA and bilateral economic assistance to the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and reversing U.S. policy that had previously deemed Israeli colonization of the West Bank to be illegal. The contours of Trump's deal of the century are expected largely to fall within this inimical pattern of anti-Palestinian policy. Trump's plan will permit Israel to annex most or all of its illegal settlements in the West Bank, along with most or all of the Jordan Valley, leaving Palestinians with only a very truncated state in the remainder of the West Bank. However, any such state would be completely devoid of sovereignty. The state would not be able to establish an army, have control over its airspace, sign treaties, or control borders. Indeed, Israel's annexation of the Jordan Valley would ensure that the state is completely surrounded and dominated by Israel. The Palestinian state would doubtlessly not be able to exercise true sovereignty in Jerusalem, and Palestinian refugees would not be able to exercise their right of return. American Muslims for Palestine unequivocally opposes any such plan and will redouble its efforts in Capitol Hill to continue supporting an expanding bloc of members of Congress who are committed to Palestinian rights. And here I want to show this map showing a parallel between the South African apartheid, where they have these pockets of land for the Bantustans and the colored people to live on, and Israel, and how it has little pockets of lands for the Palestinians to be forced and oppressed on. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Haneen. In conclusion, this so-called deal is a legitimization of creating an apartheid state that the Palestinians will be forced to live in. This so-called deal undermines any hope of having a Palestinian state, which has been the goal and the aspiration of the Palestinians for the last 70 years. This deal is nothing more than capitulating to the religious right in this nation, who want to bring about Armageddon, who want to bring about the end of the world, and they are now leading the government in bringing this reality into light. This is not a deal that the Palestinians will get beyond. This is not a deal that any will work in any way. This is nothing more than, as Hadi mentioned, a political stunt done by two people who are in positions that are actively being targeted by their own countries for crimes that they've done within their own nations. We call on the American public to stand up, to speak up, and to call on their elected officials to go in the street, to hold education workshops, to educate the population about this injustice. I invite everybody this Saturday, February the 1st, from 2 to 4 p.m. in downtown Dallas at the Daily Plaza, or the Grassy Knoll as otherwise known, to come for a protest that we will hold in order to bring a voice to the Palestinian community and make sure that this injustice is met with we the people. Thank you for coming. Have a great day. Goodbye. All right, excellent. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Sounds like you've done this before.